Well, let's ask Sterling Bennett, 49ers Access, host of Overtime on 95.7 The Game alongside Mark Grandy. Sterling Bennett, I heard him. Dude, I actually retweeted their stuff. They didn't give me no love, man. I'm trying to support Overtime. I retweeted their stuff, man. It sounded good. Sterling Bennett, but his head's getting too big.
Thank you, King, for retweeting their stuff.
Listen, this may be
your timeline with their material.
This may be his last appearance on the Morning Roast. We'll see. That official, unofficial 49ers beat writer for the Morning Roast or reporter may be going out the window. May have to go to Mark Grandy. Sterling Bennett. No, I'm kidding. Sterling, no, I love you. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. If you're a fan free agent, kind of followed up on Shasky there. You're a fan free agent. What team would you pick?
And why? And how would you come to that determination?
I think you have to go with an underdog team. I think of the Detroit Lions, right?
Okay.
Young team around them, veteran quarterback in the building, a team obviously growing and trying to win the NFC North this year. Young quarterback in the building now. I kind of sit there and I go, okay, I can get behind the youth movement in Detroit. They haven't won anything in a really long time. They don't treat their superstars very well, but that seems to be changing. I like the blue-collarness of the Detroit Lions fan base. They want to win. They're hard workers. They seem like the everyman kind of team. I think I picked the Lions.
Okay, I like that.
I like that a lot. All right, who you picking up as the quarterback number 2?
Were you outraged, I guess is the question.
Yeah, I'm not outraged about it at all. Shanahan basically said, I'm not going to name it before the Pittsburgh game. I'm totally fine with that. Some people are making a big deal about it. Look, if Brock Purdy's healthy, none of these guys are playing anyway, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Brock Purdy being QB1 throughout the season. So it's been so much talk about the quarterback 2 spot. But right now, after watching what happened Saturday night against the Broncos, who do you got backing up Brock Purdy?
Well, I think starting with Trey Lance, he's kind of had this two-face to him, right, where he's really bad against the Raiders, then he looks really good to end the Denver game, and you kind of sit back and go, okay, you can see signs of this former first-round pick, but I think Sam Darnold has been solid enough, right? And I think when picking a backup quarterback, do you want someone who's going to go through the ebbs and flows and might be a reason you lose? Whereas Sam Darnold will just kind of be on the field and won't be a reason you lose, most likely in what he's shown in 2 games thus far. So if it was me, I would pick Sam Darnold, but if it was my heart of hearts, I would rather see Trey Lance out there. But I do think Shanahan is going to sit this thing out and say, look, week to week, it could be someone different. I do hope he does let Trey Lance be that scout team quarterback throughout the entire season. He needs those reps, and if he's not starting, that's the only place he's going to get them.
Well, I'm just curious, because you're not alone on that. Why do you say Sam Darnold gives you a better chance to win? Because I just look at his career. I'm looking off tape. If we're going to make all of these assumptions about Purdy off tape, I understand personnel and coaching absolutely factors in. He's been a turnover machine. And he loves to check down on 3rd and long. So why do you have all of this faith in Darnold? What is that based on?
I don't think it's necessarily we have a ton of faith in Sam Darnold. I think if he's playing, there's always a worry of is he going to revert back to seeing ghosts and being that turnover-prone quarterback. But throughout camp and throughout preseason, I think he's thrown a total of 3 interceptions, and one of them wasn't even his fault against Denver. I think the system is going to make his decision-making so much easier for him, where instead of going into double coverage, there are going to be guys wide open, and I think he can do that a lot easier than Trey can when it comes to actually ripping the football and throwing it. One thing with Trey is that he'll see a guy open in 1-2 windows and won't throw it.
Yeah.
You cannot be hesitant in the NFL. If Sam can go out there and just make the easy throw, make the Shanahan wide open in the bubble of the defense to Ayuk, on a little comebacker, that stuff is going to perform on a Sunday, where if Purdy goes down, and let's say it's week 2 against the Rams in Los Angeles. Okay, it's 3rd quarter. We need someone that's not going to lose us this game. I think that's Sam Darnold, that he's not going to come in and be special, but he's going to hand it off 20, 30 times, give it to Debo, give it to Ayuk, and just have 145 yards, maybe 1 touchdown if we're lucky.
Well, it's interesting. I want to pause here. It's funny how we bestow all of those attributes on Sam Darnold, and he's never won a December game that matters ever. And yet we've seen. I'm not even the biggest Trey fan at this moment, but at least we've seen him win a Week 16 gotta have it type of a game against the Texans. It is funny to me how just removed from the situation a couple years, we've created this runway for Darnold, and yet omitted some of the things that Trey has done. And I'm just asking why we do that.
No, I mean, you're definitely right. I think with all of the conversation amongst the fan base is, let's just see Trey with the ones. And I agree. Trey can be and should be so much better with the ones. He should have that runway of, if he gets those reps, he can be an amazing quarterback. But flip that and go, well, if Sam gets the ones, which, let's be honest here, in New York and in Carolina, his ones were 2s and 3s, and he had awful head coaching, why can't we give him that benefit of the doubt as well?
He had McCaffrey, DJ Moore. I don't know. I find it interesting.
Here's I think I get the sense when it comes to Darnold, and I want to move off of this, but to me, I get the sense that when Darnold gets hurried in the pocket, if it gets muddied at all, if there's chaos, if the pocket's getting collapsed, Darnold scares me a lot more than Trey Lance in that sense, Sterling, that I believe he's a turnover machine, that he will start to see ghosts. And I know it's such a cliche now because he admitted that, but obviously watching Saturday, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, with a hurried pocket, Darnold freaks out. And I'm surprised by that, despite him being in the league for 5 years, that he still has that anxiousness in the pocket when it does get muddied.
I mean, yeah, you are not wrong in thinking that, all the history of Sam Darnold and even what he's shown in 2 preseason games, there still are concerns. No one's saying he's a world beater by any means. But I do think, like, when Alex Smith was with the Niners pre-Jim Harbaugh, he had 50 touchdowns and 55 interceptions. Sam Darnold, with Adam Gase in that rule, 55 touchdowns, 55 interceptions. He now has consistency and offensive-minded head coach. And again, if Sam Darnold's starting games for us this year, you should be worried because that shouldn't happen. We don't want that to happen, but I do think we have to give him a little bit of leeway when it comes to maybe he can change that. There's a reason Kyle Shanahan is saying his name next to Steve Young's name.
Well, that's absurd.
That's crazy to me, but I do think there is room for improvement in Sam Darnold.
Well, that's where Shanahan kind of like, the lessons more here.
For every Alex Smith, there's 4 Blaine Gabberts.
Yeah,
see, that's the part where I disagree.
Right, no doubt. Sterling, real quick, slot corner. Is that the biggest area of concern for this 49ers football team? Because I'm actually higher on the offensive line than everybody else is. Actually, not knowing who Banks was last year and Burford and Brindle, I was very concerned. This year, okay, I've seen them for a year. They held up well, so I'm less concerned about the offensive line. My biggest worry is slot corner. What about you?
Yeah, I think slot corner is a big deal, especially knowing the division you play in when you have Cooper Kupp in the slot, you have Rondale Moore, Tyler Lockett, and other guys in Seattle as well. Like, there's a lot of big-name star receivers lined up opposite of whoever's playing nickel for us this year. I do think it is a concern that you sign Isaiah Oliver to basically a $3 million guaranteed contract and he can't hold down a starting job. That concerns me. But I do think the offensive line, and we've talked about it for months on the show, that if Trent Williams goes down, do you trust Jalen Moore, Matt Pryor? I don't. Do you trust anybody outside of John Feliciano, who at times during preseason playing backup center hasn't looked good either? I think there is a major concern at offensive line. I think if anybody goes down, this could be a disaster for San Francisco, especially at tackle. But I also think the defensive line edge depth also concerns me. If Nick Bosa's not there, guys, this is Drake Jackson unproven, Kellen Farrell unproven, Austin Bryan unproven, then Alex Barrett and Kerry Hyder. This team is really good at the top. They're very top-heavy. Once you get second and third-string guys who are obviously not going to be as good, I don't know if this team behind the starters can step up like they have in the past almost everywhere this year.
Are you worried about the Bosa thing? Because everyone keeps telling me not to worry. We're only a couple weeks away here. I don't know. I'm starting to get really worried.
I think I set a Thursday deadline. So what is that, tomorrow deadline on overtime with Brandy on Saturday? Yeah, I'm worried. We did see, apparently, to his IG story, he was in New York, which is where his agent apparently is. So that's maybe a positive note. But unless he's in Santa Clara signing a contract and in red and gold uniform, I'm worried. Because week 2 is 16 days away, 19 days away. It's not getting further away, it's getting closer. And the longer this thing takes, the longer it's going to take him to get ready. Now, he'll be ready before Deebo Samuel was and not be out of shape. But, yes, I definitely am worried about where Nick Bosa is right now because it's not in Santa Clara.
If you had to speculate, because we really don't know, and I think that's a good thing that we don't know what's going on with the negotiations, what do you think the holdup is? What could possibly be the holdup with Nick Bosa signing a long-term deal with the 49ers?
Could be the Chris Jones situation in Kansas City. Maybe he wants to see what Chris Jones gets paid and say, I want more than that. I know Chris Jones thinks he's the second highest paid defensive tackle, or he should be in the NFL. And Nick Bosa's like, well, if he's the second highest paid defensive tackle, then I should be the second highest paid defensive player. So that could be something there. I also think it comes down to, guaranteed money. I'm sure San Francisco wants to add some void years in there to free up some space to go re-sign Ayuk and re-sign other players when they get up on their contracts. So I think it really just comes down to the nitty-gritty stuff. I don't think it's the total number. I don't think it's the, $33.5 million. I do not think it's that. I think it comes down to San Francisco trying to do what San Francisco does and find some room to wiggle as the contract goes into next year and in 2025 and 2026.
So, Ronnie Bell, have they been running him out there as a wide receiver 3, or is it still being like Juwan Jennings? Because, I really like what Ronnie Bell can do in this offense. And I look, it's like the pecking order is so deep in terms of how they're going to spread the ball around. But I feel like they got to find a way to get this guy a couple looks a game.
Yeah, Ronnie Bell's still being that receiver number 4 and 5 during practice, and he was throughout the entirety of training camp. I don't think he's done enough to take away reps from Juwan Jennings. I do think with Ronnie Bell, a lot of great, 7 catches last week, over 120-plus yards. This made game-changing plays against Denver. But for everything good Ronnie Bell does, there's a tipped interception somewhere, a fumble here and there, and I do think that's stuff where if you want to apply the same logic to running backs, that stuff gets you benched. And so if you're a receiver who Shanahan notoriously puts guys in doghouse, I don't think he's up to that point yet, but if you're turning the ball over, why would you play? I like Ronnie Bell. He's young. He seems to be a dog, a yak bro, as I said on TV against Denver. Like, he's showed a lot of promise thus far, but I think right now with McLeod hurt and Danny Gray hurt, there's room for him to expand his role, which is great. You want to see him grab that brass ring, but if all the guys are healthy come week 4 or 5, he seems to be still that receiver number 5 or 6 on the depth chart.
Boy, when it comes to this offense, we'll let you go, Sterling. Good stuff as always. And we will have you back on the roast. Believe that. This offense, I'm getting excited about this offense. I am. With Debo and Christian McCaffrey and Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, and you look at the way Debo's running around, he looks like he's in phenomenal shape. Brock Purdy looked like Brock Purdy on Saturday night. I don't care how many yards he threw for or whether it was past the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. I really do not give a damn. When I look at this offense as a whole, I see an offense that could be as explosive or maybe the most explosive offense since the Super Bowl team back in 94 and 95. I really think highly of this offense. How do you feel about this offense that averaged under 32.5 points per game under Brock Purdy last year in the 8 games or 7 games?
I agree. I think this is the best offense in football with the best offensive mind in the NFL. I think it has the most weapons from receiver to tight end to running back. And let's not forget, for all the talk of, is Brock Purdy going to be healthy, why isn't the talk, well, Brock Purdy can get better? I think that's kind of forgotten on fans, where Brock Purdy in year 2 could be a better quarterback than he was last year. And if he is that, and let's say he's 4,000 yards through the air and gets 30 touchdowns and throws 10 picks, oh my goodness. We have our first 4,000-yard passers in Jeff Garcia.
Wow.
Could be 2 all-pro receivers in Debo and Ayuk, the number 2 tight end in the NFL in George Kittle, and I can argue the best offensive weapon in the NFL in Christian McCaffrey. Like, this offense is the most explosive, in my opinion. These guys can score from the line of scrimmage or 50-yard deep ball. Like, these guys can beat you at every single level, every single game. And that's why, whether Ayuk's out or Debo's out or Kittle's out, it does feel like they have so many stars, no matter if someone's missing, they'll just plug somebody else in there and keep trudging along here. And I think that's really a testament to what the offense is built of and how great Kyle Shanahan is. But why couldn't they average 35 points this year? Why can't this team be the highest?
Well, because wait, 1 second. Because that would be one of the greatest offenses ever. So, I think it's fair to be slightly skeptical of 35 plus points a game. That's all.
Sure.
I think it's a little unreasonable. I mean, let's get to 30 and then for a full season. But saying everything that we're saying,
cook, Sterling, cook.
If they disappoint in the first month and they aren't scoring points, what do you think that's because of?
Yeah, San Francisco has notoriously started off slow, right? The last 2 years, 3-5 and 4-4 last year. I think that will be more on Kyle Shanahan, because he's even said, it took me a while to get into a rhythm here. Now, do you ask, well, why should it take you so long to get into rhythm with these stars around you? I think that's a valid question to ask. But if there's going to be a slow start again and things look kind of like you're stuck in the mud, That's solely on Kyle Shanahan, unless Brock Purdy just stinks it up the entire first month of the season.
Sterling Bennett, everybody. Give him a round of applause. 49ers Access, host on Overtime on 95.7 The Game alongside Mark Grandy, producer of Will Under Dibs. Sterling, get some rest, buddy. You going out to practice today?
No, I'm actually going to Arizona today.
Oh, wow. What's in Arizona?
My best friend's baby girl's first birthday. We're driving down there today, picking up my fiance in Southern California. We're heading out.
Nice.
Damn. Look at you, Sterling. Drive safely.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.